broadcasting around the world. This is the Hard Asset Money Show. Your wealth, your money, your future. Serious talk about what's happening and how you profit. Hosted by Christian Briggs. Follow him on X at BMC_HAM. Live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's show is going to be on President Trump's big, beautiful bill. Or is it big, wasteful, beautiful bill? We can't afford it. I'm going to break down the facts on exactly what the Senate passed, what the House is looking to either restructure or put back in, take some things that were out from the Senate, put it back in, shuffle things around. We're trying to figure out what the Senate actually passed, what the benefits are, and then what the House, Andy Ogles, congressman from Tennessee, is now saying that he wants to put back a bunch of things which the House had passed that was sent to the Senate, and he wants to put that back in. And I'm like, Andy, bro, it took weeks, months to get to this point. Maybe he's right, though. I don't know. But that's kind of what people are asking. Is he right? Is he wrong? Is the Senate right or wrong? There was a lot of Republicans that were pushing against that bill in the Senate. Some went and joined the Trump train. Some did not. Senator Tom Tillis, Rand Paul, a few others. But we're going to break it down. So we'll be back in 90 seconds. Don't you dare go away. We're going to break it down. You decide whether it's a good bill, beautiful bill, bad bill, or a bill that really is just kind of mediocre. We'll figure it out. We'll be right back.
This podcast is brought to you by Hard Asset Management. We have the guaranteed lowest prices on all precious metals and rare coins. Call us at 844-426-4653. That's 844-426-4653.
All right, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about President Trump's big, beautiful bill. This bill has got a lot in it. So we're going to talk about what the Senate has sent back to the House. The House obviously had voted on a lot of things, which there was a lot of very positive things in this bill, and there still is. Don't get me wrong. We're not here to break it down in a bad way. We're just trying to break it down and try to understand the things of which that matter, okay? When Senator Murkowski of Alaska, she was talking about the bill.
Do I like this bill? No, because I tried to take care of Alaska's interests. But I know that in many parts of the country, there are Americans that are not going to be advantaged by this bill. I don't like that.
And that's the thing. If it helps a lot of the people in which you represent, of course you're going to be more inclined to want to vote for it because it does help in delivering on the promises that politicians make. That's what politicians do, whether you're a member of the House, member of the Senate, or President of the United States. You go from an elected position that represents a portion of a state or an elected position that represents a vast majority with your colleague, another senator. In Tennessee, we have Senator Bill Hagerty, Senator Marsha Blackburn, great Republicans, great people of character. They do represent the state in such a way, and they do look out for the state of Tennessee. But the question you have to ask yourself, what is it sometimes that the bills have to do and things have to be added in order to get those votes? I'm trying to say this thing, as a lot of people know, so that you've got to incentivize people to vote for something that would then obviously have value. Let's say that. So let's take a look here. Domestic policy bill. The Senate passed President Trump's signature tax and domestic policy bill on Tuesday. Great. With Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote after 3 Republicans broke ranks and joined Democrats in the opposition. It goes back to the House where deep cuts to Medicaid and $3.3 trillion it would add to the national debt have unnerved some Republicans. Okay. Let's talk about that for a second. A lot of times these people want something that's perfect. I don't think you're going to find perfection in every single thing that is being voted on or ultimately becomes law or certainly passes all the things it needs to get done. People have to realize nothing is perfect. However, this bill does, in fact, there is no cuts to Medicaid. They cut the growth. So Medicaid is not going to go away, and it's not going to have limitations on American citizens. The $3.3 trillion they're talking about is added. Think about this as like a loan. If you have a business and you need some expansion capital, investment capital, or lines of credit. A lot of times those have been known to be very effective in growing businesses. Take Amazon for a second. They weren't even making money for a decade or two on the principal business model, which is the retail, delivering products for people to the front door. But they made money eventually in other areas. It took billions of dollars to get to that point. So what President Trump is trying to do is to say, give me some latitude. We're going to have to increase the debt limit. Eventually what's going to happen is the GDP will be more than enough to the ratio of deficit spending and the debt accumulation, or GDP. So I don't think it's bad that you raise the debt ceiling. It's kind of like a loan that we're going to pay back. If you need money and you know that you're going to increase the top line and the bottom line with the amount of credit that you're being asked or asking of the bank, or in this case, we're the bank, make sure it's viable. And Trump knows this kind of stuff better than anybody. So what I'm looking at as far as what was passed by the Senate, there are a few things that did rub people the wrong way, and that was the increasing in the debt ceiling. We need some time to do what Trump wants to do, and that's to play catch up. In other words, get the GDP up, that it grows faster than the debt. If we can get to $6 trillion within the next 3 years in cumulative top line revenues of tax collection, reduce the deficit spending by $1 trillion, so we go from about 7.3, 7.4 to 6.4, and we increase the top line tax revenues because we increase the GDP. There's more wealth being created, so there's more wealth to be taxed. We got the tax breaks. That's huge for middle America. Then if we can somehow increase that revenue, decrease the deficit spending, guess what? We're right there. We're not there yet, but we're right there. When we do get there, and we will, eventually revenues increase, deficit spending decreases. Now there's no deficit spending. We start using some of that top line revenue to do what? I'm glad you asked. Pay down the debt. Guess what? Whoop. That's what the bill's primary goal is. Keep the tax rates low, because we know when we lower taxes, increases revenues, there's less inefficiency and tax evasion. I call it inefficiency because people are very clever at that kind of stuff. So what I'm thinking, and this is how it's kind of playing out based on the way they kind of score this legislation, this is possible. Okay, there's no guarantee it'll work, but it is probable that the method and the madness, as they say, to the math and to the way they constructed this bill, it does have legs. Case in point. So if you look at a lot of the successful businesses out there, and remember, Donald J. Trump, the businessman, has been extremely successful in running multiple businesses, whether it's a licensing of his brand or his direct participation in building, running, maintaining the real estate empire that he's built. What he's been able to do was to use debt as a form of expansion. Okay, that's what it is. A debt can be used to expand a business. Here's where the House is all pissed off. The House is mad because there's some things in there like the Social Security type benefits or the Medicaid benefits. There's talking some portions of the bill that have these benefits for some illegal immigrants. And so that's where a lot of rub has been formulated. That's a lot of rub for a lot of people. You know, we're not here to say yay, nay, or good, bad. It's indifferent. I'm just trying to put the facts out and how it affects us. About 1.4 million illegals are getting some type of benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and a lot of that's being cut. There is some provisions here that will cut that. There's some that actually stay. The House is going to send back their plan. So a lot of that's going to get flushed out. I think we're very close to a great bill that has a lot of potential to bring the GDP back to a point where it was, and to lower the debt by lowering deficit spending, getting back in the black. So what I want to do today is to remind people, he's only 4 months into this thing, roughly. Give the guy a chance. Let the bill go through. Don't cannibalize it. Give the guy some runway. Give it 12 to 18 months. That's before the midterms. You can always go back and try to refine something. But I do believe it's going to have success. No question. The tax cuts are important. Immigration. Positive on immigration. Look, legal immigration, the 1 million people a year, 2 million people a year that come into this country legally are vetted. They're so welcomed. They're loved. We need that melting pot. We need those people increasing our GDP, increasing a lot of positive things. The illegal immigration, who's coming in? Who's coming in? The question is, we now have arrested and deported hundreds, if not thousands, of bad people. Convicted murderers, convicted pedophiles. We've had gang members wanted for murder and rape. Those are not good people. We don't want those people here. We want good people, people that will adhere to the Constitution. You have every ability to do what you want to do in America. It's got great opportunities, but you got to adhere to the rules. Live within the rules. Everybody follows them. Work hard, pay your taxes, and God bless you. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk about what the House wants. Andy Ogles, congressman from Tennessee, sounded like he was a little mad today because he didn't like what the Senate sent back to the House. He wants his stuff put back in it. We're going to go over that in about 90 seconds. Don't you go away, because we're going to talk about now what the House thinks they need to put back in there. The question is, can the Senate and the House find common ground? I think they can, but maybe not. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Here we go. Andy Ogles. So the Senate voted to approve its version of the Trump-backed Bill Act. Tennessee GOP Representative Andy Ogles introduced an amendment to return the bill to its original House version that passed in late May. I remember that bill. There was a lot in that bill, though, that was really... You cannot make everybody happy. Even if you give the same lottery ticket, the winning numbers, to every human being on the planet, they're still going to be mad that anybody else got part of that lottery money. So let's talk about it. Ogles made a series of criticisms about the Senate's version of the bill after it passed Tuesday afternoon, including complaints about the bill forcing his constituents to pay for illegal aliens' health care and not doing enough to halt taxpayer dollars from subsidizing green energy projects. Okay, let's start right there. I can't disagree with Andy to some degree. I'm not going to say we're just a heartless country, because we're not. This is the greatest country. This is the greatest experiment of how things could run, where the people are the power, the government is limited. We've got to take care of our own first. When we start to prioritize others, but not the citizens, and we don't protect our borders, and we start to put too much money toward things of which that is not productive or expansion of productivity, that's a problem. So Andy's not wrong in the way he looks at some of the Senate parts. The amount of money, which is billions. I mean, we're starting to get to the point where I think, I'm going to say this for everybody out there, you're almost immune to the money. Billions of dollars, it's almost like it doesn't mean anything. But it does when we can't pay the bills, because we have debts of over $37 trillion and deficit spending of 2.4 trillion this year. Now that means something. What does it mean? It means we could default, or we could have trouble paying our bills. Certainly, if it's not a default completely, there could be portions of the government that can't pay the bills. That's a problem. Then that's when it starts to mean something to all of us, okay? So Andy's not wrong. Andy's a good guy, good Republican, loves this country. And what I think he's trying to say is, why are we making the taxpayers, and it's not just his district, it's the whole country, pay for people when we're not paying for health care for all Americans at the same time? And there's truth in that to some degree. We do have a healthcare system. Everybody can walk into a hospital. You can get emergency care. It's not the most efficient way. It is the most expensive way of doing it. And also, why are we paying for these green energy projects, which we know you'll never be able to get alternative energy at the same level cost structure that you will with oil and gas? That is a fact. Nuclear is the absolute way of the future for all energy. He has taken issue with the Senate's changes to the state and local SALT deduction. That the Senate's dramatically increased the amount Tennesseans are forced to subsidize state and local taxes for wealthy people in blue states. He is absolutely correct. So what that is there were limitations on the deductions that you can do for the real estate tax, the income tax, and different taxes of different states that you can deduct, called the SALT tax. Well, SALT is a short. And it's state and local taxes is what it is. I think real estate tax, the states allow that deduction on stuff, but the federal government allows the deduction for taxes that you pay in various blue states, but it's deductions that they get to make. The states that have no income tax have to pay portions of that in a sense, because why? Well, they don't have them here. And he's mad about that. I don't blame him. The Senate caved to unelected staffer appointed by a Democrat and rushed through an unfinished bill just so they could go home for the 4th of July, Ogles said on X after the bill passed. Let's talk about that.
The Hard Asset Money Show will be right back after a word from our sponsor. In uncertain times, the smartest money doesn't sit in the stock market, it holds weight. The price of gold has surpassed $3,300 per ounce, up from $1,800 just last year. Silver is currently around $37 an ounce, a 102% increase from roughly $18 5 years ago. Gold is up, silver is rising, but rare coins, they're outperforming both. The Rare Coin Index recently hit 760, just shy of its all-time high of 767 from June 2024. These aren't guesses, these are hammer prices, public auctions, real money, real results. According to PCGS Price Guide, an 1849 $20 grade proof 64 plus was valued at $20 million in November 2021, and today it is worth $25 million, a rise of $5 million in less than 4 years. On April 2024, a 1921 $20 satin strike grade SP58 was valued at $750,000 according to PCGS Price Guide. Today, it is valued at $2.2 million, rising $1,450,000 in that span. Follow on X at BMC_HAM for all news and the latest developments.
The way the Senate works is there's a parliamentarian that, if the Democrat, can take things and keep it in or take them out. And say, I don't work for the Senate parliamentarian, I work for the people. That's why I just filed an amendment to delete their dud and replace it with the strong House bill we passed weeks ago. The Senate's version of the big, beautiful bill guts key Trump provisions, all at the behest of an unelected individual. Not making that stuff up. So there's a lot of things that was put in there. There was a lot of things that were taken out, and the things that were taken out, it did gut what the House had passed, which was some really good measures, some really good provisions, and quite honestly, it was a good bill. The House wasn't perfect, but it was good. Now we're up to basically, I call it an unelected official that has the ability to maintain certain parts of the bill in the Senate or add certain things that they feel needs to be added. So it's a weird deal. People don't even realize this. The general public has no clue about this. Peel back the onion layer. It's not fun. It's not good. It's not exciting unless, of course, it's the person doing it represents your party. There should be a nonpartisan individual that looks at these things on the merits of the value represents to the people and not to the party. Again, we got to go back to the Constitution here. Ogles and other Republicans took issue today with the Senate on the way this individual has the authority to rule on aspects of the GOP spending package and fall within the necessary guidelines to qualify for a reconciliation simple majority passage threshold. One of those decisions included requiring a provision that excludes illegal immigrants from Medicaid eligibility to obtain a supermajority as opposed to the simple majority. In order to get this bill passed, they knew they could not get the 60 votes that was needed. They had to do it simple majority, which is the 51. That's why J.D. Vance was the tiebreaker. They could not get this bill passed any other way, so they had to give. This is the way they had to do it. Ogles took exception to that. Well, scratch that. Many House Republicans took exception to that. We have the majority in the Senate. We should be acting like it. Representative Chip Roy, Republican from Texas, posted something. The truth is there are multiple senators happy to let the parliamentarian act as a foil to preserve the status quo. There's truth in what he said. I will not disagree with that. However, it's not always the case, but in this case, it probably is. That's not leadership. That's service to the swamp. Now, that's his words. That's his words. The Senate began its amendment process to the House's version of the Bill Act on Monday. The lawmakers put forth numerous amendments. After the Senate finished with its amendments, it voted Tuesday afternoon to advance the bill back to the House chamber for approval. Ogles' office did not respond to questions. Thomas Massey has already made it clear he has the votes currently to block this in the House. Boom. as another. Representative Ralph Norman of Republican South Carolina has indicated he does not expect to vote for the Senate version. We're starting from square one. I don't think they're starting from square one, but if you read the headlines, it sounds like we're starting from square one. Not good. And Roy warned that the odds of passing the spending package before July 4th deadline after the Senate altered the House's version are a hell of a lot lower than they were even 48 hours ago. Both Roy and Norman are on the powerful House Rules Committee, which must approve the Senate's version for the bill to advance. Representative Andy Harris, Republican from Maryland, told Fox News that he does not believe the Rules Committee vote will pass right away. I agree with that. I think what's going to happen is you're going to have to go back and figure out what the House will live with, garner that with what the Senate can get passed and live with, and try to put these together. But honestly, I don't think it's going to happen before the 4th here. We're not starting from complete scratch, but there's definitely some rub the wrong way by both chambers and by individuals in the Republican establishment. We're going to see how this pans out, but I will say this. Overall, the bill does raise debt. Overall, it does increase deficit spending. There may not be a perfect bill put forth that President Trump will sign, but the bill is better having it than not having it. And that's the bottom line. I would much rather allow individuals to build businesses on a lower tax, lower regulatory environment, which is what it does, and make this all part of a massive opportunity to advance something that the president believes in. He's got smart people around him, and they're going to be able to outrun the debt, the deficit spending, increase the GDP, increase top-line revenues, the amount of money we have to make up to maintain the economy. You got to give them a chance. You can't do it any other way. It's the only way I know of, because that's just business 101. Build the business bigger than the debt cost. The business becomes massive. The massive amount of revenues and bottom line pays off the debt. Gee, that's 2 + 2 = 4. Did you get that, Lewis? Lewis got that. It's official. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Genius Act. Man, if there's any one topic, second only to the BBB bill, that is the topic. We're going to see how the big, beautiful bill shapes up. And we'll probably talk about it tomorrow as well as we continue to move forward to something being met in the middle. And then we're going to talk about the Genius Act, this whole crypto thing, centralized, decentralized, stablecoin, gold-backed stablecoin, gold-backed treasuries, 50-year treasuries. All of this is flying everywhere. The Basel III allotment, letting banks have gold treated as cash. We're talking about it. We're going to talk about it here. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. I'm probably going to talk about this big, beautiful bill because we'll continue to have more and more advancing. But just know this. This isn't a perfect bill. There's no such thing as a perfect bill. Like there's no such thing as a perfect person. So you have to look at, is it 55% better than if we don't do it? Is it 70% better? Let me tell you something. And I mean this. It's better to have lower taxes, kill the overburdensome regulatory or the laws of which that prevent people from being successful. Let the people grow wealth. That's how you grow a GDP. So if small businesses are thriving, guess what? The country's thriving. We're thriving. When you don't have those small businesses thriving, what does that mean? 98.9% of the country is not thriving. Who is? The top 1%. That's not what Trump is about. He is about the 99% that sometimes get misrepresented, unrepresented. This guy's a good guy. He loves his country. He loves us. So give him a chance. We're going to continue to talk about the Genius Act, which is increasing the awareness of using stable coins in order to hedge the dollar devaluation or currency devaluation, bring short-term strength to the Treasury bills. So with that said, I'm Christian Briggs. Thank you for joining us. For everybody out there, keep an open mind. This bill's a good bill. We'll be back tomorrow with another great show. Appreciate you.
Look at how the rare coin market has skyrocketed in the past 2 to 3 years, specifically proof gold, and how their performance has done after Christian Briggs, CEO of Hard Asset Management, put an immediate buy recommendation in late 2019 on United States proof gold. Specifically $20 St. Gaudens gold pieces, $20, $10, and $5 Liberty proof gold, and $10 and $5 Indian Head proof gold. According to PCGS Price Guide, an 1878 $1J1553 RB grade proof 65 plus was valued at $2,250 in October 2023, and today it is worth $190,000, an astronomical rise of 8,344%. On September 2021, a 1907-10 grade proof 68 was valued at $7,750 according to PCGS Price Guide. Today it is valued at $100,000, rising 614% in that span. Follow on X at BMC_HAM for all news and the latest developments.